All right. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for being on. I know that there's football going on right now.
That's right.
Certain people are sacrificing to be here, but we have a really awesome elevation call tonight, and this is something that Hal and I look forward to. The elevation call is something we want you to look forward to, kind of help to elevate your business, learn some things, and then also to help to train your team. So we always like to start with just kind of recognizing who is in motion right now. And that is through personal enrollments and also personal volume. So I'm going to have Hal cover that quickly, and then we'll move on.
So we're going to do the leaderboard on enrollments, and a reminder, Zalise has started fairly recently, I guess, where they've including upgrades. So let's say you have some people that have been enrolled for a while at wholesale or even bronze, and they upgrade to gold, especially this month with the Reach for the Beach. Those are counted in the enrollment points toward the top 25 board, as well as brand new enrollments. So it just recognize really people who are leading people to move forward into more of a business model. So anyway, it recognizes that. So top 25, first time, is this first time for Martha?
Mm-hmm.
First time ever.
She didn't even know what it was.
So Martha Sandven out of Northwest Arkansas, right down the road. She's a very special friend of ours, and she's just referring people to us, and we help her because she's a new frontline to us. Been a friend for going on a couple of years now. Finally got her coming around to doing something. Anyway, just kidding. Is she on the call?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. That's at number 25. And then at number 23, Julia Baker. She's been on the leaderboard the whole year, 2022. At number 23 out of the Evansville area, but it's somewhere else too.
Mount Vernon.
Mm-hmm. And then Dr. Steve and Jenny Todd, of course. They too have been on the leaderboard all year of 2022. At number 17, and then Hal and Lisa found their way to the leaderboard. We're fighting for that top spot. Hey, what can we say? We're at number 3, and and then over on the personal volume side of the leaderboard, at number 25 is Lee Williams out of Fayetteville, Arkansas. Look at that; those are all Arkansas.
Woo!
24 is Martha again at 24. And then Tim Monroe at number 13.
Yeah. And these are really our upgrades to gold. And that's people who are just learning how to not leave money on the table. If they really love these products and if they want to earn income, why not jump up to gold when you're going to earn a free Reach for the Beach trip? And we kind of help them model moving that product into the marketplace. And that's a lot of fun. It really is. And so before we
don't forget, when we talk to me, we lose me.
Well, I'm talking to Hal.
Yeah.
So I can't look at him because then you guys can't hear me. But I wanted Hal to recap. We had a really wonderful opportunity. And I have to say that I don't think I've ever had this opportunity in the 4+ years that I've been with Zalise. I have had meetings with Stephen Thompson. We've done some goal setting. It's usually been really, really brief and very focused. But Hal and I had an opportunity to really spend some time with Stephen on Zoom this past week. And I want Hal just to kind of reflect to you guys, you're our core group. The last 2 years, if you have been with us during that time, it has been a very big challenge personally, professionally, in the world. And so just getting a chance to kind of talk to Stephen, check his pulse, check the pulse of Zalise was something that was just a very big blessing for me. And Hal is so eloquent at being able to communicate. Hal, talk about how that affected you to be able to talk to Stephen and your takeaways from that.
Okay, so I'm going to be tonight. I think we're always authentic. We're going to be a little more raw with that tonight with you guys. And so Stephen reached out to us when we were in Evansville around the 28th of December. Mm-hmm. We were there for Sing Nate for Christmas, for the party at Mary Ellen's. We stopped in there and had a good time. We on our way to the Outback Bowl, which many of you know about, and we got to spend a night with Ed and spend some time with him and Steve and Jenny and some new people that we hadn't met before who had joined the Zalise team down in the Panhandle. And then we went to Tampa But while we were in Evansville at a new pharmacy there that we have brought in, Stephen called, and while we were trying to talk to the pharmacist, Stephen called and wanted to talk to us about our goals for 2022, which we were honored that he called. Weren't expecting that at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. And we told him, we'll be traveling tomorrow, get back with us. And those things just didn't work out. So back and forth, we've gone with Stephen for about 3 weeks, trying to find a time to get together. And so we had that set up for a 5:30 call on Thursday night of last week. And Lisa and I wrote our goals out, and we had those written out and some things we wanted to talk with Stephen about for 2022 about our goals, but also we had some things written down that we wanted to address with Stephen. And those things we don't have time to go into the details, but we want to make Zalise better.
Mhm.
That's what it boils down to. We want to make it better for us, for you, for everyone. And we want to walk side by side with Stephen in a closer way if possible. And we figured maybe 25 or 30 minutes, and it turned into being a 2.5-hour Zoom conversation with Stephen. Now, here's the cool thing, and y'all will really appreciate it. He did not do most of the talking. He didn't do most of the talking. He did most of the listening.
He did.
For 2.5 hours, which was awesome. And so just very quickly, I'm not going to go into the things really, but the takeaway was that when he asked us what our goals were, we started with, for 2022, Lisa and I, and this really came from her, and what I saw her produce in this new Facebook social media thing that she's actually taken the lessons and so forth for herself and doing them, the things we're kind of promoting to you, and she's reworking that. And she showed me one of her pages. And when I read it, I said, that's what we're doing, Lisa, right there, what you put. I mean, it's like, where'd you get that? And she goes, I don't know. So here's the thing. She talked about reclaiming well-being. And when I saw the reclaiming well-being, I realized that what we really have always been about, but especially in this next year, reclaiming and creating more well-being for ourselves, which includes not only our health, finances, but also relationships and leadership and peace of mind and serenity and hope. And so many things fall under well-being. And so that's what we led with Stephen is, Stephen, our greatest goal is to really reclaim and create more well-being for ourselves and for other people. And so it turned into from that kind of launch point, we obviously talked about our goals for Diamond, Double Diamond, and for you guys, we talked about goals that we want to see national ambassadors and a certain number of new area Jeeps earned and that sort of thing with you all. But really more than anything, what happened was that I felt like that a deeper and stronger relationship with the founder and CEO of Zalise was formed. And it was the takeaway is that Lisa and I, when we got off that call, neither one of us were really tired, if you can believe it. We were actually enthused and at peace and excited. And it wasn't rah-rah stuff. It wasn't Stephen pumping us up. It was a conversation of 2.5 hours. And so for those of you who have been with Zalise for quite a while, or had significant exposure to Stephen's Monday night calls or conferences, I think you appreciate that conversation was a much deeper conversation, a much more personal accountability, as well as encouragement. So without saying a whole lot about it, because we don't have time for it, but I was just really encouraged. And then the next day, Eva reached out to Lisa, and we didn't have time that day, so we ended up having a Saturday hour-long Zoom with Eva, and it felt exactly the same. So, I mean, really good. And we got off of that call, and we felt the same way. And so we want to pass on to you somehow that probably more than we've been in 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years. Lisa and I are, I don't know the word. It's not excited. It's beyond, it's more than that. It's very, very hopeful and encouraged about the future.
It's all of our future.
All of us.
And you guys might have been in this business for a bit, like we have. You guys might be brand new, because I know that we have a couple of newer people Mercy is a newer. I see a couple other people on the call. We have Shanika, who's just kind of starting her journey. And so the exciting thing is the best is yet to come. And we got it, straight from the founder's mouth, and would love to bring Stephen, onto this forum just because he appreciates those of us who have held the torch during this very difficult time.
Can we talk briefly about that?
Yeah. Please.
He bragged on all of you. I mean, Stephen did, like, not by name, but on this team, Team Unlimited, our team. And the way he described that, it very genuinely described that what we have done with these Sunday night calls and the fact that we have so many people, different people over the last 2 years on the leaderboard, people, coming in, and consistency, and just how we have continued to work, even though it hasn't grown the way all of us would have seen growth prior to the pandemic. But he said, you guys and your team have literally carried the torch for Zalise. And we know that, it's like, we know that, we know what we've been doing with you guys, but Stephen recognized that, and he just, he went on a bit about that, and just so appreciative of it. And so, anyway,
this year you're going to get paid for it, though.
Got to get paid for it. That's right.
So one of the things that Hal and I wanted to just outline, and we usually just have kind of a short takeaway message, but I have a couple people that I want to bring to the line just to kind of help illustrate a point, is when we talk about the leaderboard and we talk about, what is working this business? What does that really mean? Some people work the business. The beauty of a business like this is once you build it, it's residual. So you can go do something else. You can actually go dark and maintain your position, maintain your auto ship. That's something that's fully available in this business. And I've seen it. I mean, I've seen it in my past business, and I've seen it in this business as well. But working this business on that time where you're trying to actually build your team and create a check, there's really two main things that we're doing. One of those things is talking to new people. And Rebecca and Lisa did an amazing job last Sunday on the call. If you didn't hear that, I'm going to reference that. Go to Team Unlimited and listen to the call
on YouTube.
On YouTube, it was phenomenal, because they're really focused on social media, filling the funnel, and it's the same thing, but for those people who want an additional way to build their business, talking to new people every single week with purpose is probably the number one thing that we do in Zalise.
Did you say talking to or talking with?
Talking to, both at the same time. And then the second part of that, and we're gonna digress on this a bit, but the second part of that is, once you have somebody who is either a wholesale customer, maybe they've just bought a bag of glow, maybe they just bought a 10-day supply. Our job is to move that person forward, to take them to the next step, if you will. And once they're actually fully enrolled in Zalise, maybe they're a wholesale customer like Martha was, then helping them to create their own product story, helping them satisfy what they are actually looking for with our product line. And then beyond that, helping them to leave no money on the table with the compensation plan. And that's really how we have been able to not only just get on the leaderboard, but also help our people get on the leaderboard. And sometimes that is a challenge for people like myself. I did not have a background in networking at all. I was an ICU nurse turned pharmaceutical. I mean, I was in a totally different industry. And it took me a number of years in order to learn what I was supposed to do and how to do that. And so tonight, I want to talk a little bit about, what does that look like? We talked about it with social media last week. What does that look like when it's belly to belly? And so we call that activating your network. And it happens with creating conversations with people that you know and people that you don't know. We can just break it down like that. And I wanted to pick on Susan Everett, because I love to pick on Susan. She has to endure me every single week. She's done it now for a couple of years. And I really look forward to that, because Susan approaches this business like she does everything. She approaches it with excellence. She's a student and also a teacher of this business. And so Susan, you were talking to me just kind of as an illustration. Give us a little background on what we talked about on Tuesday, and I want to kind of want to make a teaching point about it.
Well, I was actually talking to my sister-in-law on the phone, and she was telling me a story. And in that story, she mentioned, she was talking to me about a doctor's office that she and I have been trying to get our products into. But in that story, she told me about someone else. And it's like, I hear you guys say it, and I hear Jenny Todd say it all the time. Just have your ears open and talk to people. And so the minute she mentioned this guy and told me a little bit about him, his name's Eric. So Keith, I'm sorry, his name's Keith. So once she told me a little bit about Keith and his heart and what he wanted to do, it's like just lights went off to me. And so I told her, I said, well, I want to talk to him. And she said, she kept thinking I was talking about the doctor's office. And so she kept saying, well, Susan, I'm working on that as hard as I can. I'm trying to get you. And I said, no, I don't want to talk to, I do want, but I want to talk to Keith. And she's kind of like, you could tell she was just like, why do you want to talk to him? And I said, because from what you said, he has the same heart and the same desires that we do as far as the people on this team. It's like, we're wanting to, you want to make money, but you're really wanting to help people. And I said, it's his heart, his spirit that would connect with what we're doing. And so to me, the thing was one thing that I've learned this past year that I do better, way better now than I ever did before, thanks to listening to you guys in this call, is that I've learned to keep my ears open for people that might be interested, even if they're totally talking about something different. Because it's, Hal has mentioned several times, Susan, you're not fishing for you're not using the right bait, you're not fishing for the right fish. Well, and so once I really understood that, and I did in this situation with Keith, was to understand that this is somebody whose personality, he's a successful businessman, and he would be good at this. And so I got her to give me his phone number, and I called him and just left him a message, say, I promise I won't take more than 10 minutes of your time, but I have an idea, I have a project that I think you might be interested in. If you would call me back, I would love to talk to you about it. And he did. I dropped my sister-in-law's name, and he did. He called me back, and I was very respectful of his time. Matter of fact, I probably only took 5 minutes. And I just said, look, I work for a company. We have the world's best product that's helping people, and it's helping them heal. And we're able to make money with that. And I said, myself, and I can tell you dozens of other people that are using that money then to help people. And I said, I know that's what you want to do. And I think this is a path you might consider. I said, would you consider it? And it kind of blew him back, because that was a pretty short sales pitch, right? And so he said, well, I don't even know anything about the product. I said, well, it's the world's best quality hemp product. And I'm telling you, it's saving people's lives. And I know that you want to do that. And I said, would you watch a video, like a 40-minute video, if I sent it to you? And he goes, okay, I will. And so I sent him Hal and Lisa's video. And then I also sent him the one by Dr. Weintraub about the endocannabinoid system, because I know he's a successful businessman. He's going to want to know the product and everything else. But it was interesting to do that, because that's the first time I've just been that forward with somebody that I had no clue about.
Well, Susan, I'm so proud of you. Number one, can I say a bad word?
Sure.
Badass.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
Like, what I love is just your passion and sharing. And for those of you guys who are listening, this is called a referral. So Susan's sister-in-law basically wasn't intending to, but gave her a referral that Susan had really the maturity and the courage to make that contact. And I thought that was just a great example, Susan, of using a referral network, and also of the language that you can use from somebody that you have no idea, that you guys don't know each other.
Right.
And I thought that was just amazing.
I tell you, when you get to the point where you really, really listen to these stories of people whose lives have been saved and have been changed, the lady on the Freedom Call 2 weeks ago, the pain that had been relieved, and really the people last week too, if you take those stories to heart, courage is easy. It's no big deal, because then you've got a real understanding of what you have here. And you say it all the time, Lisa, we've got a great product, and we need to tell people. Well,
that was a great teaching point, Susan. Thank you so much for sharing that. Susan, just last thing is you do something usually every week with your coffee talk group. Just tell us just briefly, just because we have some new people, another way to actually build this is through a networking group. Can you just kind of tell us what that is?
Yeah, I got invited into it's a coffee talk group. It meets on Tuesday mornings for an hour, and it's all women, and they're all basically supporting other women, and we do a good job of doing referrals and stuff like that within the group. And so you get your minute to, once in a while you get 2 minutes, but usually somewhere around a minute, minute and a half to give your spiel. And so lately I've been trying to use one of the stories, because if that's what affects me, then that's what affects them too. And so I'll hit the highlights on, hi, my name is Susan Everett. I work with Zalise. You probably haven't heard of that company, but we sell the world's best hemp-based products that will make a difference in your life. And it's making a difference in thousands of people's lives, or hundreds of people, or whatever. And I said, I can tell you stories of person after person after person that it's changed their life, but I'm going to tell you one today. And then I will usually tell them one story very briefly of somebody who's had a success story. I mean, it's real. I'm not lying. I'm not making it up. And I'll just tell them that story real briefly. And I said, so if you're interested in learning more about this, let's do a one-on-one. And so then I get an opportunity to do an hour conversation with them.
Well, I'm just proud of the energy that you're putting into your business and really to help other people. You just have an amazing heart. So thank you for sharing that, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then I want to bring on and introduce you guys to somebody that you have not met yet. And Martha Sandven, if you can unmute and come to the line. We kind of threw this on her. She's learning Zalise just a little bit at a time. And I wanted you guys to hear another story. Martha, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I couldn't see you. I can hear you. But Martha is very, very dear to us. And Hal actually introduced me to her because she is his writing coach. She is a wonderful author and teacher. And so Martha also has an amazing farm called Angel Dog Farm, where she rescues horses and has dogs and horses. And she's allowed me to come riding with her, which is a real love of mine. So once when I was out there, I, as a gift and a thank you, I gave Martha a CBD and CBG.
Now, you're not gonna steal the story though, because
No,
don't you
I'm
think
giving
they
it
want to
right
hear
to
about
Turn
how
over here yet.
You go,
how
girl.
pathetic I was?
No, you weren't pathetic, but tell your
Why,
story,
yes.
Martha.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name's Martha, and I'm about to turn 51 years old, and when I was 23, I was in a very bad car accident. I was at a full stop in a Jeep CJ7, like the old military style, without a headrest, and I was hit at about 45 miles an hour from behind, and just shredded all of the soft tissue from the base of my spine, my skull, all the way down to the base of my spine. And so was involved in all kinds of therapies and you know just about any kind of exercise or poking or prodding or anything that I could do. They threw a whole bunch of pills at me, of course, and I felt like my liver was going to crawl out of my body and go screaming away from me. So I threw the pills in the trash, which that's not what I should have done, but I was young. I didn't know any better at the time. But I did get rid of the pills, and then I decided that I was going to ignore this horrible diagnosis that I had been given, which was that I had fibromyalgia and that I was not going to be able to ride horses again or go snow skiing or water skiing or hike mountains or anything that I loved doing, because I was just always going to have such a problem with pain and trigger points and all of the wonderful things that go along with fibro. So for years, I managed what I could with exercise, primarily swimming. And I'm a Pisces, and so that comes to me very naturally and is zero impact, and I love that. And I did go ahead and return to my sports that I love to do, even though I was told I could never do them. And then, unfortunately, in 2012, when I was getting on one of my horses in my front yard, he bumped against a pipe fence and I didn't know that it was full of hornets, and we were swarmed with hornets, and he came all the way off the ground and I went flying, and landed on the ground. And if any of you know what you're supposed to do the first time when you fall off a horse, the first thing you're supposed to do is get back on. But I was lying there on the ground and I thought, I don't think I should get back on the horse right now. Of course, I was worried about him. He had a lot of whelps from hornet stings. And so I took off about 60 pounds of tack off of him and treated his wounds and put him out to pasture. And then I went and got my recliner and thought I probably should get on an ice pack. And in about 10 minutes, I couldn't breathe. And I called 911 and I thought I was going into anaphylaxis. So I called 911 and I said, I've been stung by, I can count 14 hornet stings and I think that I'm going into shock and no one is here and I'm all by myself at my farm and I don't know what to do. And so they said, we're going to send an ambulance. So they sent the ambulance. They came in and they said, so this is about hornet stings. And I said, well, yeah, I was on my horse. And they said, stop, you were on a horse? And I said, yes. And so then they got out the board and they, put all the stuff on me and put me on the board and they shot me full of Benadryl. And I don't really remember the trip to the hospital. And then the next thing I remember is the doctor came in and said, you have broken your spine in 7 places. And I was devastated. And I knew what they were going to do. I knew it was going to be the same thing they did before, same rigmarole with the medication and everything. And he said, thankfully, this man, this neuroscientist, this neurosurgeon said, I do not want to cut you open. If I cut you open, you will never, ever be the same again. So what we're going to do is, he said, you're in really good shape. We're going to custom make you a brace. You're going to be in that brace for 5 to 6 months. We're going to slowly introduce you back to your regular level of physical activity, but you are probably going to have chronic pain for the rest of your life. So that's, as I would say, that's the long way around the barn to say all of that happened. And here I was with Lisa Bell Henson on the back roads near my house. And as usual, I was riding my horse because it's one of my favorite things to do, but we've been out on the trail for about 2.5 hours and I hurt everywhere. Everything hurt. And I dropped was it my handkerchief or my hat, Lisa?
I think it was your hat.
I think it was my hat. And I was slow to whoa my horse. My hands were cramped up holding my reins and my knees were killing me and everything. Lisa, in one fluid motion, leaps off of her horse. She might as well have had a cape on. Swoops my hat off the ground, hands it to me like she's my knight in shining armor, and then effortlessly leaps back onto her horse. I said, woman, you're 6 or 7 years older than I am. How did you do that? Aren't you in pain? And she said, no, I haven't been in pain for 4 years. She said, are you telling me you're in pain? I said, well, yeah, I'm in pain. She said, like where? I said, my hands are swollen and cramped. My knees are in pain. My ankles hurt. My hip flexors hurt. My trigger points are firing off on my shoulders and my lower back. I said, the base of my skull is pounding. I said, I don't even understand what you're doing. How did you just do that? And she said, well, I'm going to make a gift to you today. And we're going to let you try it out. And we'll see what happens. And I'm here to tell you that it did not take 30 days. It didn't even take 10 days. It took 7 days with me. And I could put rings on my fingers that I hadn't been able to put on my fingers since before I broke my back. I was sleeping at night without waking up from pain. The constant thud at the bottom of my skull was gone. And I just had a better feeling of wellness. And that's when I decided, you know what, this is helping me find freedom within my body again. It's giving me permission to do things that I want to do without feeling like I'm having to argue with my body to do them. And the other thing too is that I'm a person who's very connected to my emotion through my gut. And I used to have bottles of Tums just lined up on my desk, kind of like dead soldiers, you know? And my bottle of Tums has as many Tums as it did in it the day that I went riding with Lisa, has the same number of Tums as the day I took my first few drops of CBG. So that's my story, and I'm a believer, and I can't wait to earn my Jeep and continue to spread the word. And I thank you all for listening to my story.
Well, Martha, I tell you what, girl, it's very easy to see that you're an author, and you're getting a lot of clapping just because people appreciate the way that you shared that story. And, even I'll never forget when you looked at me and you go like, "You don't hurt."
Yep.
And I'm like, no, and it seems so odd as somebody that is, I mean, like if people could know what it takes to manage as many horses as you do and the tack and just, I mean, I couldn't believe that you had lived that life in pain. And so with Martha and myself, the way that I shared Zalise with her is just I gave her CBD and CBG. And she's meant so much to my family, to me and Hal, and it was just an easy thing to do, but we really didn't have much conversation other than just how to take it. And so I believe that getting product in someone's hands and their body is the most effective way to really share what this product can do, although we really don't know the outcome at all. And so Martha then, she started just introducing us to people who she thought would benefit.
So can I interject?
Yeah, please do.
Yes, she literally had no intention of building this business, I don't think. None. But she would go, "Oh, I've got this friend in Fort Worth. I really need you to talk to because she needs this. Oh, I got this friend in Kansas City. Is it okay if I put you together with her? Oh, I got this friend I got this young lady. Oh, I got this." And that's just, that's what she was doing. So she had no hesitancy. She had no resistance to that. It was a natural, I care about these people. I want them to have the experience that I had. Well, the result of that is they did the right thing. She directed them to Lisa, which is what we tell you all the time, direct them to the people that can help them in your group, in your team leadership.
And let me ask Martha, just because Martha, we've never really done any training. I mean, how have you communicated to your network to get them to contact me or to put us together? Because you've done that very well.
Well, most people in my network are at least aware of my lifestyle and how intense my lifestyle is, and that I do not like the idea of any kind of opioids in my life at all. And so most people come to that like they have that baseline understanding of me. So when I tell them what has happened in my life and that I want the same kind of thing experience for them, but that I don't have the medical history that Lisa does, then I tell them my experience and I say, if you want to talk to someone who has a medical history, of education and experience in the medical field, I'm more than happy to share a phone number with you. Because I'm not your doctor, I'm your friend. I'm not your nurse, I'm your friend. But I can have a friend of mine who is a registered nurse give you that perspective and speak those words and that language to you. And she's also very familiar with the research. So that's not a hard bridge for me to build.
And you've got an amazing network, Martha. You've been able to really to really reach out to several, very close friends of yours. And we're excited because we're now working to get Martha from associate to community. And so this morning we just kind of showed her a little bit about what an upgrade is. She's trusting me a lot on this process, but once somebody sees that there is some income in this and that it's really, the more income you earn, the more, from sharing, it becomes just a win-win situation. So Martha, we're very excited that you have now a goal to get a Jeep and that you're now upgraded to gold. You also get Reach for the Beach as your trip. And we're just excited about what the future will hold.
Well, thank you. And thank you all for your time tonight. And thank you for being here. It's so inspiring to see all of you and see all these stories of hope and success. So I'm proud to be here.
Thank you, Martha. Anything else you want to add?
No, not.
Because I have one other person that I want to bring to the line. And this is just, part of this is just, you guys can learn from kind of the laboratory of all of us just kind of doing our business. And one of the ways I learn is just talking to you guys. So I love it when you guys reach out to me and you say, oh my gosh, I've had an issue or I've had something really great happen. Judy Carver, are you there? Do you want to unmute your phone? I'm never sure if she's
Never can find her.
Yes, I did
Oh,
do
there
it.
she is.
I hit the right button.
Good job, Judy. Well, Judy, not everybody knows you. And I always laugh because Judy was one of those, I personally sponsored Judy when she was actually under anesthesia from a dental procedure. And anyone who knows Judy knows that she is a wild and crazy, actually, she's the fastest woman I know because she's a race car driver, but she loves to talk. And sometimes that can get in the way. And so Judy, we sponsored her when she really couldn't say no because she was so swollen from her dental procedure. But Judy has gone on to, she's a great recruiter. And Steve and Jenny Todd came to us through Judy Carver's efforts because she started to build the team, and that team took on a life of its own, and they found Steve and Jenny. So if you were in Steve and Jenny's downline, Judy Carver was the one that said yes first. And I always want to recognize her for that. But life gets in the way sometimes, doesn't it, Judy?
Absolutely.
And Judy lives
And-
kind of in two places. She's building a home in Kentucky, very close to where all the tornadoes activity. And Judy, I'm so glad that you guys were safe and spared. But now you're in Florida right now. And so it's kind of hard to go back and forth. But you called me this morning because you had a situation. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Who wasn't?
You want to tell us a little bit about Jan, your situation with Jan?
Sure, I can tell you. I think my enthusiasm got the best of me. And I also have, that diarrhea of the mouth, So I definitely am known to talk too much. And
You're not tonight. I know that.
no,
You're doing
I
good.
no, I'm not. I'm going to I'm making a note to tell me not to. Angela Noble was my wonderful mentor, coach, everything to me. And she used to tell me to write it down, ask questions, don't talk, all of those things before I'd go into an appointment when I went to work for her. Unfortunately, I forget sometimes, but I had this situation. I met a man on Saturday night. He told me he had pain in his shoulder. They were very much into herbs, and he had bought some cream, and I told him how much better ours was, I was sure. And so his wife called the person down the road and wanted my number, and she called me and was just super interested. When could I come up there? She was taking notes. She I know is just the person we need in the business. And I did follow up with her. Lisa happened to call me back at that time, talk to her, send her things. So not to be pushy, but I did call her back. Lisa texted her. I also, again, yesterday did. And this morning she sent me this nice little text that said, thank you for your time, but I'm not interested in doing this as a business. And basically shut the door. And I was crushed, confused. I texted her back and told her I was confused, and would she please give me a time to talk with her again. As of now, she still has not. So we may have to put that one away. Maybe a learning situation. I don't know.
Well, Judy, thank you for sharing the story because, it looks so easy when we share stories of people who are, already fully in Zalise and, people who've had great results, but we don't always share stories of things that really don't go as planned. And one of the things I told Judy, as I slapped her a little bit virtually,
She did.
I did slap her because she was upset. She's like, almost heartbroken about this woman who seemed
What
so
did I do wrong?
right.
Yes.
And I said, Judy, because you only have one prospect these last few months, you are heartbroken because your number is N equals 1. You have only talked to one person. And therefore, I had this very painful lesson happen to me years ago in my first business, that there was one person that I knew was right for the business. And I snail mailed them information, and I did three-way phone calls, and they just ghosted me, and I never knew what happened to them. And I was just heartbroken. And so one of the things that we learn, and one of the reasons, Judy, thank you for being gracious to share this, is, number one, you really don't know who you're dealing with. When you're doing the cold market or the 3-foot rule, I mean, you could be talking to somebody who you think is great, but really is not a great person. Maybe they're, maybe they're not somebody you really want to do business with, but you just don't know that. And so you have to kind of trust the process. And because Judy brought me in and I really didn't know a whole lot about the background, we might have gone too fast with this individual, sent her like the whole deal, the whole, yeah, and it's $12.99 for gold. And she just, it just scared her, it freaked her out a little bit. And so we kind of learned from the process. But if Judy had talked to 30 people instead of one, she wouldn't have been so vested in this one person's outcome, if that makes sense. And so it's just a great lesson that when you're doing this business, you really want to maintain a list, a funnel, if you will, and keep adding to it so that you always have more people to talk to. And I'm going to have Hal share just a little bit about how we've been able to grow our list, our funnel this last weekend.
What you did.
Well, we did it together.
We did, but so I told Lisa, I said, we have to share this because it's just, this is a way that it's done. And so on Friday night of last week, after 7 months of going regularly to dance, ballroom dance, as I guess all of you know we're doing, because we talk about it all the time and post about it. And we really love that, enjoy the people. And we've actually had some of the people from dance. We've had lunch and got together, coffee with some of them and different things. And a few of them have actually started using our products. But the owner of the studio has started using the products, and he invited us, first time I think this has ever happened, but on the Friday night dance party, which is a free dance time for the people who are enrolled in the group, come and dance for an hour and a half. But he asked us to do a glow presentation, take about 10 minutes and do that. And at the end of our 10, 12-minute little presentation, which we had a lot of fun with, at Lee's invite, Lisa had those cards that y'all are familiar with, or most of you are familiar with, that we use for people to check off what their physical issues are, how they want help. And we had 20 cards turned in, 20 cards turned in. And so Lisa, we literally built our contact list by 20 people with emails and phone numbers at dance in 10 minutes. But it wasn't that. It was several months of building relationships. Then as a result of Lisa going to one time she went to a networking group, meaning a group of business people who share for 1 minute, like Susan was talking about. She went back before the holidays, and there was one lady there that she met that they really connected with. She's followed up with her, but as a result of that, Lisa was invited on Saturday to go up to a women's meeting at a health food store about 30 minutes from here. And she met with other women who are entrepreneur, have interest in community things. And what was there, 10 people there? I don't know how many people were there, about 8 to 10 people there, and walked away with 3 or 4 different things. I went with her, met some of the people, actually reconnected with one person that I knew from long ago, which is really cool. Left her, then I went and called Steve Todd, and we had a great conversation about a lot of different things. And when I came out, Lisa was, it was supposed to be over at 4, and about 4:45, Lisa comes strolling out finally. But she'd got some business cards, contacts, was doing follow-up. So we probably added about 25 people this weekend to our list. Our funnel. And that's why when Lisa said N equals 1, which really ultimately equals 0, because if your N factor is 1, if you only have one person you're ever talking to, or every once in a while, you're always feeling like it's a 0, no matter what. But if your N is a 12 or a 6 or an 18 or a multiple number, then you're going to get something out of that. And then those people will get their health changed. So, or their lives changed in some way.
So they say that this is a numbers game. And back to Judy Carver, Judy can actually go to sleep for a while because she has a tremendous amount of volume from her team. And that's kind of why they say that once you build it, you continue to get paid on it. Although with just life and business, there is always retraction. And that's why we have to continue to replace. We have to continue to stay active to grow it. But the numbers really, really matter. And so it starts with the conversation. And in that, those conversations are what we really try to get good at. Hal is one of the best that I know at just engaging people, because he has a genuine love for people in conversation. And I posted an article on Team Unlimited just about talking to strangers. But the better we get at making those conversations, at complimenting people that we are doing a good job at something, at asking questions, at kind of creating curiosity and learning not to give too much information. Those are some of the key points to any conversation. You're laughing.
No, I'm grinning because I'm thinking about Jenny Todd. She talks to everybody, but you know why she does? Because she loves people. I mean, it just oozes out of her. And so I'm just thinking, you know, maybe that really is why I'm so good at just talking to people, because
you love people.
I love people, and no matter what, I kind of feel like they love me, you know, and it's going to be that way. And so I do think that is something for people to think about, to contemplate, to pray about, to where do you know, check yourself, you know, why am I talking to people? And if I don't come from a real genuine place of love and concern and care for other people, you know, maybe I need to check that. But if you do come from that, then you got to check yourself on what you think they think of you. And it has to be a balance. Do you perceive yourself as deserving of that same kind of love and respect from other people that you're giving to them? And when those two come together, there seems to be a solid personhood, a well-being about you that is allows you to walk into the world in a way that you can impact others, and they don't get you down when they tell you no. It's just it's part of what we learn to live out in a business like this.
And I want one more person, and she doesn't even know I'm going to call on her, Christina Durham. Christina has a very unique way of filling her funnel. And in fact, Christina, tell us what you did with your live event the other day, if you don't mind.
So through a boutique that I'm on Facebook, there's multiple boutiques, I guess, through that one that I'm on, but one of them is specifically for live events. So all week long, I've been posting on that. And then Wednesday night, I went live for an hour, about an hour and 3 minutes. I crammed in testimonies, our products, just the benefits of, you know, being in Solis, joining my team, a little bit of all of it. There were 17 people that evening that were during the live that were there. There were 105 comments. So I did a raffle with everybody that commented. I also kind of opened that up. If they asked a question, I entered their name a few more times. If they gave a testimony, because some of them aren't on my team yet, but they still have testimonies. So I gave them more chances in the raffle. And then that night, whenever I got off of it, there were 87 views. The next morning I got up and that was up to 150 views. And let's see, I didn't look at it this morning, but when I got up Friday morning, there were 170. And I was up to I think 185 or 90 views yesterday morning. So I'm kind of getting contacts back out of that. Everybody that commented, I went back to them and said, you know, thank you for watching my live. Do you have any questions? Out of that, I haven't got a whole lot of go yet, but I had 4 or 5 people say, is this something that you do on a regular basis? And I was like, well, not really yet. I'm kind of working on it, but they requested that I do it again because there was some people that wanted to watch it that weren't able to. So I'm going to go on one of my other boutiques and do another live here soon. And then I've already signed up with that same boutique for another weekend in February. So just kind of trying to get it out there as much as I can and in front of much people as I can all at one time. And some of those people are actually starting to reach back out now. So it's kind of been cool. It's the first time I've ever done anything like that. Never really knew what it was going to be about. So
it's mind-blowing, Christina, that what you have been able to innovate, you know, just the vendor events that you just had jumped into, and then seeing you live like that, I had no idea what that was. And you also tell us the best story that you've had from Glow, because you had something really great happen that I wanted you to share.
I had one today that I signed up as a wholesale customer. She has a pretty cool story, but I think honestly, the best story that I've got, and because it just keeps adding on itself. And I think I've told it before, with my dad, with his PSA readings, being
Okay,
down.
wait, slow down just one second. So your dad, PSA is prostate.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have a high number on that. So
No, his number, he's been on the same medication for 10 years now. And the lowest that they can get his number is 2.0 or 0.20. I can't remember where the decimal was at. But he went in for his blood work 2.5 weeks after he started Glow, and those levels were already down below that 0.20 number where it was. It was actually 1 or less than 1. It was there again when he went back to his doctor this last week. So, but he's had his hair's growing back on the chemo that he's on. And I'm talking not just hair on his head, but his body as well. He's told me today that his stylist is rubbing the areas that used to be bald, and kind of, she doesn't know how to, really, she just kind of she's like, I wonder if that's going to grow back, the same as, but his energy levels are up. He's not taking any over-the-counter meds anymore for the pain. He's actually added CBG and ice to his life, CBD now in the evening. I'm trying to think. Oh, he said he's off of his allergy meds. He doesn't have to take those anymore. Usually by this time of year, he's taking Zyrtec and things for his health, because he's usually got a sore throat and kind of cold and stuff going on. He's not taking any of that this year. His vision's doing better with all of that. I'm trying to think of all the things, because every time I talk to him, he just seems to add a couple more things to his list that just keeps getting better and better. So it's shocking to me, when he can look at his doctor and say, and his doctor was blown away, by the way, his cancer doctor, when he went to him, they took the white paper into him, the pamphlet into him. My stepmom also told her story at the time. And he's actually going to take that down to Texas this next month and talk to the cancer treatment center there that the Chancellor Center here locally is connected with, to find out if they've heard anything about it and kind of touch base with all of them. So that same day he called me, I went ahead and dropped off a manila envelope with a 10-pack in it, another white paper sheet, some brochures, the trifold, and then some of our marketing sheets, all within it, with a letter that I hand wrote, or typed out, that just said, here, this is the product that you heard about today. You sounded really interested in it. I know you're going to go talk to some people about this, so I wanted you to have a firsthand experience. And I even asked him, if this isn't something you'll take yourself, please make sure it's somebody that's going to be close to you, so that way you can get a one-on-one rapport to what that product is actually doing for them. So I was really bold in that, because that's not something I would usually do either. So it was kind of crazy, but my dad's touched base with them and he has got it. Actually, Dad was calling me today. He said he did get it, but I haven't got the whole story one way or the other yet on what he thought about me dropping that off. So I'll call Dad when I get off the phone, the meeting here tonight.
Well, awesome, Christina. Your courage is noted. And what you don't ever know is, like, when you send product and product information out into the world, you just never know who's going to get it and who's going to be blessed by it.
So this weekend, we met with another ambassador here at our house. She wanted to grow her business. She wanted to look at what she needed to do to move to the next rank, to get some of Stephen's money, which, by the way, new ranks this much. New ranks this month, Stephen's paying at each rank some cash into your account, your Zalise earnings account. And she wants to do that. But part of the conversation with her, it boiled down to, for her to raise her where she is in life, she's right at the edge of needing to step over really into some courage. And I'm not going to go into all of that, but courage is her next thing. And she's got to make some changes in her life in order to eliminate some things that are hindering her and to add some things that will help her. But the only reason I bring that up is because of Christina. So Christina's not a professional building marketing person. She doesn't have a nursing degree. She's had a lot of challenges in her life personally with her family and loss and grief, but she did not have a challenge with courage. And if she did, she got over it quickly, because Christina sounds to you, if you came on this call and it was your first or second time and you'd not heard her speak, you would have thought she was like a professional trainer in this industry and what she's doing. Everything she's sharing with us is because she got into action. That is the only reason she knows how to do these things. The vendor events, the Facebook Live. I was watching that with her, and I told Lisa, I said, she's really good at this. I mean, like, she's really good at this.
Yes.
And especially for someone who just started, but she's really good. But the fact is, I said, she's good because she just gets out there and does it. She's willing to learn through action. And I'm just really proud of you. And I think it's awesome that what you're doing with this. And
you're forging new ground, girl. You're
Yeah,
filling your funnel in a very new way. And that's what's so cool. And just for one more minute, I wanted to recognize Steve and Jenny Todd, because Steve has a very innovative way that he's helping his Texas team. Steve, just give us a 1-minute overview of what you guys are planning to do in Texas next week.
Okay. Yeah, I think that we have so much talent on this call as a group collectively. And my idea is that, guys, you can put on your own little mini expo by grouping together. And so I'm going to be going to Texas. So Jenny and I are, and with Laura and her team out in Texas. And what we're going to do is Laura's going to talk on her business and health and wellness. And then I'm going to speak on cannabinoids.
a health expo.
A health expo is like, where different people come together and you take your expertise and you talk on it for a few minutes. It isn't about Zalise per se. We're not talking about it. We're talking about your expertise. And like, if you're an animal expert, or if you're a expert in your field of study, whatever it is. And so we're going to come together, and I'm going to do several different little presentations on areas that I find interesting. She's going to do a couple that she finds interesting, and it's all about health and wellness. Ours is. And you can do this as a group by grouping together, by coming together and helping each other that way. So you don't have to think about going to the vendors meeting, I guess you could say. Create your own vendors meeting.
Well, Stephen Todd, you're so humble. He is a world-renowned sleep specialist. And so we are so very, very blessed to have you on our team, personally and professionally, as Hal got the benefit of some of your services this weekend, and we already discussed that. But I just think that's another example of innovation within your team, because these are different times than 3 years ago. Post-pandemic, you guys, we have to be innovative. We have to keep our knees bent. We have to be willing to try new things, and then we duplicate that within our team. So thank you guys all for contributing to the conversation tonight. And I'm going to stop the recording here, and then hold on one moment.